I think got me chuckling. Turn. Okay.
Huh. It's looking like I was just testing the link from like my personal email because we tried something new. And when I clicked on it, it told me that the address was invalid.
Oh,
So I'm gonna test it on my computer instead of my phone. And if for some reason it doesn't work, oh, one of my coworkers said that she was able to get in, so we should be
okay.
good.
Sounds good.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure that the link was working.
Awesome.
Looks like we have a couple people joining. We were doing some back end work to make sure that the link that we sent out was working. So glad everybody was able to get in. We'll let everybody join for the next couple minutes and then we'll get started.
And Macy, just so you know, I don't see a link in the chat.
Perfect. There we go.
Perfect. I'm so excited to show off Copilot today. Should probably share the screen.
We'll give it just a couple more minutes. I see people trickling in. All right, we will go ahead and get started. I know we have quite a few people that are still hopping in and joining, but I know Jolynn has a lot to talk about today, so we will go ahead and get kicked off. So I'm Macy, I'm with the IT company, and we just wanted to thank you guys for coming out today to join us for our Copilot webinar. We are super excited. Jolynn and I were chatting a little bit before this about how powerful this tool is and all the different capabilities that it has. So we are super excited to share that with you, and we thank you for joining us. We will be recording this, so after the webinar is over, I will send out a link so that you guys are able to access it. So if there's anything you want to go back to and refer to, or if you want to share it with other people who weren't able to join within your organization, we will make sure that you have that link. And then additionally, I emailed it out, and then I also have put it in the webinar chat, the link to the handout that Jolynn will be referring to throughout this webinar. So if you did not receive that email, you can access it in the chat. And if you have any questions, you can message me throughout and I will answer as Jolynn is talking. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Miss Jolynn.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. So welcome everybody to our session today on using Microsoft Copilot. Copilot to me is a tool that I'm using every single day. So first I wanted to just mention what exactly is Copilot. Copilot is actually Microsoft's AI tool that uses a large language model to go through large amounts of data, so that large language. It stores the data within a system. So when we prompt the system, it automatically is very quick. It automatically translates that information that we put in and gives us a response back. We're going to do a little bit on how Copilot works in different applications today, starting with the Copilot app itself, but then we're going to dive into applications like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook, Teams a little bit. But just so you know, this Copilot feature is available throughout your Microsoft 365 apps. Therefore, when you see some of the prompts that we get, we can actually be utilizing information across all platforms, the whole entire suite of applications. So it isn't just for creating a formula, analyzing data, getting a summary of emails. It works across everything. And you'll notice when you go into other applications, the Copilot feature is available. We just don't have time today to cover every single app that it's in. We'll kind of step through those as we go throughout the kind of other sessions that we'll do. But with that being said, just so you know, Copilot is not free, technically. Depending on your licensing with Microsoft, there is a per user license, just so you know that. So it is something that we do have to pay a little extra to get, but gotta be honest, I'd pay a lot more just to have it because it is such a efficiency tool that we can be utilizing. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and first start with the online app. Now, by the way, you'll see as I go to these other applications as well, that we're able to access Copilot in a lot of different places. I actually have a newer laptop and I have a Copilot button right on my laptop, which I didn't even know it when I bought the laptop that it had it. When I got home and saw it, I was super excited. I even did a LinkedIn post on it. I just think it's the best thing in the world to have it that easy to access. But let's go ahead and check out the app first. So when you come into your Microsoft account online, this will be one of multiple ways to get into Copilot. So if you're already on the internet, this will just be an easy way to access it. On the left-hand side, when you come into your home page, your start page, you can just go straight to the Copilot icon on the left. No matter how you start it, if I start it from Outlook, I start it from Teams, I start it here, it doesn't matter. It's always going to look the same. It works the same, looks the same. So it's going to analyze your entire account through your Microsoft apps. And what you're going to see first is it's going to give you prompts. So it even says, try these prompts. So it's giving you some suggestions on things that you can actually prompt the system to get more information. So just a little bit on prompting. Prompting is a very important word these days with any AI tool because we give the system a prompt, which is a question or whatever it is that we're trying to have Copilot help us with. So prompting is very important. We could do one session just on examples of prompting, but the more you give it in the prompt, the better the result is going to be that you're going to get back. So always think about providing it with full information. Just a side note on prompting. But just so you can see some additional features, let me close this for a second. When you come into Copilot, you'll see these tiles that will give you these prompts, like maximize your time, get calendar information. I mean, it's just unbelievable what we can do. And by the way, a lot of this is directly related back to your Outlook. So it's not just using Copilot in the Outlook app, it's using Copilot as its own app directly connected with Outlook or other applications. So pretty cool that it does that. So you could start and talk to the system by using one of these, or you can click catch up. And by the way, this was just updated, very newly updated. So watch for those updates as you start to use this application, because of course this is very new. So there's going to be updates, there's going to be enhancements, there's going to be new features that come out. They have already changed the user interface, and you're going to see that in Teams as well. All of your Microsoft apps, I still remember when the first Microsoft Office came out, it was very cluttered. Everything now is becoming very simple, easy to use, easy to find things. They're not cluttering it with a whole bunch of stuff. You could click on something to go into more information. But you can see that this catch-up, it's so new that it doesn't have any relevant updates to show me right now because this was just released. I just did a class on Monday. This wasn't there. That's how new this is. But let me kind of walk you through the rest of the screen. So down at the bottom of the middle of the app, you're going to find where you can actually start your prompt. So if you don't use a prompt from the try these prompts at the top, you can actually just type in whatever it is that you're looking for. Notice that it tells you use slash to insert people, files, and more. I'll give you an example of doing that here in just a second. Also, you have this link here to say add people, files, or more. So if I don't want to type the slash, I can just click there as well. Also, you'll see that over on the right-hand side, we can upload a file by just clicking on the attachment, or of course we can do the slash or click the plus sign to add in a file. So we get multiple ways to do the same thing, because when we upload a file, we can analyze that file directly here in Copilot without having to go to the file. Like if it was an Excel spreadsheet or it was a Word document or a PowerPoint, we don't have to have it open to analyze it. Copilot can do that right from the start screen, which is unbelievable that it does this. And I was telling Macy that before we got started, I'm in this app all day long. I'm using Copilot all day long. It doesn't matter which program I'm working in, I'm utilizing Copilot. But from the right-hand side, you're also going to see, and there's a couple of icons. There's a plugins icon. We won't get real heavy into that here today. We can talk more about some of those other bells and whistles as we do individual sessions on apps. But we also have the send button. The send button, of course, is your paper airplane that you send the response or your prompt to the system to have it give you that response. But when it comes to the prompts, a lot of people, we're not sure what we should be asking the system. What can it do? Test it. See what kind of response you get back. But if you need some suggestions, we have that try these prompts, but you can also come down to the bottom right and click view prompts. I use this quite often because I think this is fantastic and it keeps changing. You get more prompt ideas of different things that you can do. So you're going to see that right now it's on the category called task. So I can ask it, what's new from this particular person, which is actually something I do on a regular basis. I could start a conversation, track my task, track what's important, etc. Do a fast catch up. But if I come up to the top, I can actually choose other categories as well. So if I say create, it's going to bring up examples of prompts that I can use that are create related, like helping me to write, generate some ideas. I use Copilot a lot for brainstorming. Sometimes, I used to think that I was a little creative. I don't think I'm creative at all anymore. I think over the past few years, we get so busy that sometimes it's hard to think about, what should we be doing? What would be some best practices? Copilot can always help with those kind of things. So just so you can see, you have access to all these different options to help you with different prompts. Down at the bottom right of this dialog box, though, you can click See All Prompts. This will take you to an actual website, not a dialog box, but to an actual website that's going to give you a list of hundreds of different examples of different prompts that you can be using. I have gotten down to a few prompts that I use on a very regular basis. There's some that I use like every couple of days, but first I want you to imagine, what if you had a few days off? If you had a few days off and you just got back to work, you can use Copilot, and this has become my habit. I know we all have habits, but sometimes we need to change our habits. I used to go and scan through all my emails and try and figure out, what did I miss while I was gone, that kind of a thing. I don't do that anymore. I let the computer do it. That's part of the efficiencies that Copilot is offering us today. So I'm just going to jump back. I'm not going to use one of the prompts from that all prompts window. I'm just going to come back to the Copilot app, and I'm going to close this window and use just the standard try these prompts because that's what I use quite often. So I'm going to go into what's new. So if I click on what's new, it automatically is asking me, who do I want to find out what's new with that person? What exactly am I looking for from who? So you can see I can choose different people. I could start typing the person's name. Anybody that's within your domain, you'll be able to get information from them. But what it did was it started the prompt in the chat window at the bottom, but it gave me this pop-up when it came to the slash. So it says, what's the latest from? And then the slash menu is what you're seeing, the pop-up, where it says all, it says people. Sorry, I didn't mean to grab that. Let me do my slash again. Sorry, I gotta back up. I can add people. So who do I want the person to be? Which person, I should say. So if I want student one or whatever the case would be, I could start typing. I also can go directly into the category of people. I can go to files, I can go to meetings, or I can go to emails. I'm going to just choose a person. I started typing an S, by the way, an ST, and it came up with other things that start with ST that are recent things I've been using, which is pretty cool. It's smart. That was under the all category, but I'm going to just click student one. It's one of my coworkers, and I want to get the latest of the information based on emails, chats, and files from student one. So at the bottom right, I'm going to click my send button. Or of course I could press enter. So it's going to automatically scan everything that's been going on with student one that I can actually catch up on. So it's combing through the documents. It tells me that, and it's found some files. So it's going to let me know what those files are. And by the way, it's giving you a footnote number. I was just teaching Microsoft Word yesterday, and we were doing endnotes and footnotes. So it gives you the footnote, so you can actually go to the bottom and have the link to get into that information from that footnote. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So it's basically saying, this is where I got the information from, giving you the footnote. So unbelievable. So it's showing me team messages. If I had other things besides files and team messages, if I had emails, meetings, anything else, that would all show up. I just didn't have any of that information with student one in the past few days, so it didn't bring those up. But just getting this as a summary, how much time is that going to save you from combing through all your information, combing through your calendar, your email, all over the place? Instead, everything is right here. I don't have to worry about it. Copilot's going to do the work for me, hence the name Copilot. So anyway, let me kind of show you a couple of other things that you could actually do with this app. I'm going to go to the bottom right and I'm going to click on the paperclip icon. And it's going to bring up a list of all again, and it's going to show me all these different recent files that I had. So I could go into a Word document, etc. So let me actually just show you how this could work directly here from the app. I'm going to go into this Teams Getting Started, and the computer has already analyzed it. I just need to tell it, what kind of information do I need? I want it to summarize this file into a bulleted list. And I just pressed enter. So it automatically is going to analyze that file and give me a summary based on the prompt that I gave it. I said, give me a summary based on bulleted list. If I just say, give me a brief summary or a short summary, it would do it in paragraph format. I can tell it what tone I want it to use, exactly the details that I want it to provide back. If you don't give the details, it's going to do what it thinks we want it to do. So that, like I said with prompting, the more details that you give it, the better the response is going to be. Now it's a little bit slow. I should have picked a smaller file. Sorry, that's my fault. I should have done that, but it wasn't that slow. My computer's slightly slow today, but just so you could see, it automatically came back and gave me a bulleted list of everything related to that file that I asked it to summarize. So pretty fantastic. I don't even have to be in the file to have the Copilot app do that for me. So anyway, just so you know, at the top right, last thing about this app, at the top right, you can start a new chat. So if you want to start all over again with the prompts at the beginning and that kind of a thing, you can do that from the top right. Also from the top right, you have the ... menu. It will give you the about information, letting you know what the current chat is or Copilot that you're using. This Copilot chats is the history of your chats. So by default, it does show the history of all of the chats you've been doing. So if you want to go back to a chat, you can click on that chat and it will take you back to that information. So this is a chat that I previously did. So workflow for attachments, whatever it is, you can jump back to it. So if you need to go back, I'm just going to close that pane. I've been asked a lot recently because ChatGPT now has the ability to do a temporary chat. Copilot doesn't have that built in yet, but I'm going to assume they're probably going to be adding it here shortly because people are really liking that. So if we don't need the information kept it in history, we can actually do a chat in ChatGPT that doesn't store it. It's just a temporary chat. Just so you know, I think Copilot will add that in as well. But back to the menu, you can also go in and send feedback. So if you want to send feedback to Copilot to let it know, can we change this? Is this something that it can do? That kind of thing. You could go ahead and send the feedback. So enough about the app for right now. Definitely go out and play. That's the easiest way to learn it, is to play and practice with the prompts. Just so you know, on page 3, I did give you some suggestions, some different things that you can start using. But I want to go to Excel. Excel is where I actually use Copilot a lot. I'm always analyzing data. Now, this has been enhanced. Before, we used to have everything in a table for Copilot to be able to analyze the data, but now we can actually use Copilot even if it's not in a table, as long as it's a standard range of data with no empty columns, that kind of a thing. It has a header at the top, so it identifies the header. Then you can use it without a table. Copilot will let you know if it recognizes the range. So you have to click on a cell inside the range you want Copilot to analyze. A Copilot is available on the Home tab of all your apps, by the way. So notice the Copilot app here in Excel has green in the center. The icon always changes to match the color of the app. So in PowerPoint, it matches the PowerPoint color. Word, it has the blue, etc. Just so you know, it does that. But if I click the icon for Copilot and I'm selected on a cell within a range, Copilot will let me know if it recognizes it as a range or if it requires me to turn it into a table, just so you know it's going to do that. I love that it does that because sometimes I don't want a table. I don't need it to be in a table because maybe I'm going to analyze it as a pivot table or as a chart. It doesn't need the table tools. Also, Copilot can do sorting, filtering of your data automatically. So some things are just fantastic that Copilot can do. We just tell it by either typing or you can speak to Copilot now as well. So on the Copilot window on the right-hand side, it did recognize my range. Therefore, it didn't tell me to turn it into a table. So it's giving me suggestions on I could create a formula, I could do some highlighting, I could do some sorting and filtering, or I could just analyze the data within that range. Down at the bottom, you're going to see where you have your prompt. And it even gives you some suggestions. So it's asking, it's prompting me to say, how can I highlight, filter, or sort? And it would give me the information on how to actually do that. Otherwise, down at the bottom in the ask a question, if I don't want to start with one of the prompts up at the top, I can just simply type in whatever I want at the bottom, and I can use the microphone to do so. So let me show you an example. Who had the highest sales for Q2? So if I'm in a meeting and somebody asks that question, and this was thousands of rows, millions of rows of data, Copilot's going to answer the question for me. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to, go through and do a formula or filter or sort or anything. Copilot can answer those questions for us. So, I couldn't find a table or data range to answer the question. Dang it. I was hoping it was going to work for me without it being a table, but I'll turn it into a table real quick just so Copilot can work with it. So now it's telling me that it needs it to be in a table. So it's a table now. I just went to the insert tab, did insert table. So now let me ask that question again. So now it understands it's analyzing the data of the range A4 through E9. I could see that in the prompt. So now let me ask the question again. Which salesperson had the highest sale for Q2? Now, of course, this is a short list. I can see that on my own, but just so you know, if you had a million rows, Copilot can do that for you. We could even ask it, based on this product, what was the total for orders that were placed from this date range? Whatever it is you need to ask it, Copilot can come back and answer it. But the best part about that is, what if you want the answer to be on a cell? Notice on the right-hand side, it's telling me Kendra James had the highest sale for Q2, and it tells me the total. I can always copy that, go to a cell, and paste it. So if you want that information, the answer to this to be placed somewhere, you can actually copy that out. Plus, notice that it's analyzing this data, this date range, and it says, here's what I found. And it automatically gave me a pivot table. That's how it analyzed it. It created a pivot table to generate that information. So just so you're seeing how that would work. But let me take this a little bit further. As a matter of fact, I'm going to scroll back up to the top and I'm going to say create. Oops, I better make sure I'm on a cell within my table first. And I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to say create. So it's going to come back and it's going to say, I can quickly add new columns with formulas. Select a suggested prompt or describe the column you would like to add. So I'm going to tell it that I want to add a column that will give me the sum of each of the salespeople for all quarters. Give me a new column with the sum by the name across each quarter. I don't know that I said that very well. That's not originally what I was thinking of saying, but it just kind of came out that way. We'll see if it comes back with the right answer. Like I said, it's always about the prompts. Using good prompts is definitely something I need to practice a little bit better at because sometimes I get a little tongue tied when I'm talking. But it did it. It automatically gave me the answers. So it says adding up the quarterly earnings for each individual to provide their totals. I mean, it's showing me the formula that it actually is using, and then here's the answers as well. So if I wanted to actually add this, all I have to do is click insert and it will automatically add it for me. So first it does the analysis, then it asks you if you want that to insert it, because we want to make sure that it's correct before it automatically puts it in the program. I have a lot of people say, well, why doesn't it just do it? Well, you want to verify it first because you might have given a wrong prompt. So I like the fact that it says, yes, I'll do this. I want to insert it. But notice that it also tells me it inserted it, but I can undo it if I change my mind. So doing formulas is a great option to use. Also, let me kind of scroll back up to the top here, and I'm going to say highlight, just so you know you can click on this. Otherwise, I just go to the bottom and tell it what I want it to highlight. But it's going to come back and say, need to highlight portions of your data. I can help you by using suggestions. I'm just going to go ahead and tell it what I want it to do. Format the top 25% of quarters 1 and 2 with a green font color. So it's going to analyze that data. It's going to figure out what are the top 25% of the numbers in quarters 1 and 2, and it's going to change those to have a green font. So first it's analyzing the data, and then it's going to apply it. So it's making changes. It kind of tells you where it's at on the status, which is kind of cool. So there's the top 25% highlighted in green. So just so you can see some of the ways that it can analyze that. But let me go into a bigger worksheet here real quick, just to show you how it can analyze this type of information as well. So this is a worksheet, I should say, with a table already applied to the range of cells. If I want the computer to analyze this data, I can have it sorted, I can have it filter it, whatever it is that I need it to do. Now, this is orders that were placed in an older time frame. So this is from 2021, but just so you get an idea. Let me go ahead and have it filter by quantities that are 50 or more. Now, could I do that myself? Yes, but it's easy just to go to Copilot and have it do it for me. Filter the quantity column to only show quantities of 50 or greater. I'm going to go ahead and send that. It will automatically apply the filter for me. And of course, just say clear filter and it will automatically clear it for you. So instead of us having to manually go do things, we can just have Copilot do everything for us. It could create a subtotal based on the unit price of just orders that were placed for a specific salesperson. Just kind of use your imagination as to what kind of questions do you need to ask. Copilot's going to be able to answer. And, oops, it's kind of a little slow here on doing this, but it says it's done. It automatically applied that filter to the quantity. So you can see that it's automatically done that. Clear filter from quantity. Now, of course, I could have just gone to the data tab of the ribbon, clicked clear filter myself, but just so you're seeing how Copilot can actually do this for me. Now, my computer is a little bit slow right now, so usually it's a little bit quicker, but just so you know, it can do it. But I'm going to actually have it create a pivot table for me. And I want the pivot table to be based on country, salesperson, and I don't have a column for, first let me add a column. Create a formula that is going to take the unit price multiplied by quantity. So I want to have a column that's actually going to give me what was the total for each of the records in the data, because I don't have a formula for that right now, but Copilot, of course, can create that. And then I can have it inserted as a new column if I want it to. It's amazing to me what I use it every day for. So anyway, it's coming back with saying that this is what it can create. I'm going to go ahead and say insert column. So now you can see that I have this new total price based on their unit price and the quantity that they ordered. So now I'm going to have it create a pivot table. Create a pivot table based on the country, salesperson, product name, and total price. Now I gave it a little bit extra based on the data, but first it's going to analyze all of it. It's going to show me in the Copilot window what it's actually going to be generating out. Then I can say insert it as a new worksheet. So it's going to bring it in as a new sheet. So it automatically is creating it. I can see a preview of how it's going to look to make sure that it's analyzing the correct information, that it understood what I was asking it to do. Okay. Once it's finished, so it's even telling me that it's finishing up. I could copy this, but it's asking, do I want to add this as a new sheet? I'm going to say add it as a new sheet. So I will get a brand new sheet with that pivot table already created for me. Now, of course, I can rearrange it because it took all the countries, it created a crosstab pivot table. But if I want it to be different, all I have to do is go to my field list and change things around. So if I want to move my country to be on top of my salespeople, so it's all going down, however it is you want it to look, it has the ability of creating it, and then you can analyze it further if need be. So Excel is a great tool to use with Copilot. It has a lot of different options. But what I didn't mention, no matter which application you're using, if the Copilot icon is grayed out, that's because the file that you're trying to use is not saved to a cloud. So the file you're analyzing, whether it's Excel, PowerPoint, whatever, it does need to be saved to a cloud, whether it's your OneDrive, Teams document library, or a SharePoint document library, just so you know. Now, I did give you some additional information about utilizing Copilot in Excel. Goes over a few different pages there for you in your handout. It can do that conditional formatting, sorting, filtering, can create charts, etc. But let's transition over to Microsoft Word. So if you're in a Word document and you want to use Copilot, Copilot is going to be available on the Home tab of the ribbon as it was in Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Copilot icon so that it can start to analyze my data. So it's going to give you suggestions as well, which is what we get every time that we open up Copilot. First, it does, and sometimes it can be a little sluggish. My computer is definitely slow today. I apologize for that. Copilot is usually not this slow. But if it's a lot of data, like if you have 1,000,000 rows and 4,000 columns in Excel, it's going to be a little slow. They're improving the speed of it, but as of today, it is a little sluggish. But my computer today is super slow. So Copilot is opening, but let me just talk about some things that Copilot is going to be able to do. If I have a document, and this happens to be a file that is 23 pages long, I could ask Copilot to summarize this information within this Word document. Or what if I'm not sure if the document includes something? Yes, I could go to my navigation pane and do a search for it, but I could also ask Copilot to do it. So Copilot can help in a lot of different ways. It is super slow. Let me actually close it and reopen it. See if it speeds up a little bit. It's not coming too quickly, but let me kind of continue with this document here real quick. I'm going to actually jump. Now it's trying to analyze it, so it's not letting me move my screen here. I was going to show you that Copilot can be used to help you draft things in your Word document as well. We can even have it do it in Excel. We can have it create something for us in Excel, like a new spreadsheet, add in pull information from this cell. It can do the same types of things within Microsoft Word as well. Drafting is something that I use on a very regular basis. I put it into my own words after the fact, because yes, Copilot can tell me this is how you should write this letter to your customer, but you need to put it in your own words. Yes, it will give you those suggestions, but change things so that it's really coming from you, not from AI. But what it came up and it says is, do you want me to summarize this document? It's saying, can I be more concisely describe time management? So it's actually understanding what my document is. I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to say, summarize this document. It's going to automatically look at all 23 pages, come back and give me a summary. But what I didn't tell it is how I wanted it to summarize the details. So it's automatically coming back with it looked at it and it says, I see these headings. So it's writing a bulleted list of each of the headings that it found. So it's summarizing it that way. Maybe I want it to be a little bit shorter. Create a brief summary in a short, I'm saying the same word twice, short paragraph. Now I could be talking to it as well. Oops, I didn't spell paragraph right, but that's okay. It will still understand it. So it has the ability of being able to help you with analyzing the entire document. So if I create a document and then we're going to be doing a meeting and I need to kind of give a brief as to what we're going to be talking about, I can actually do so. Also, I can actually have it automatically help me create an agenda. So if I'm going to be doing a meeting and I need an agenda, I can be utilizing Copilot to help me create that. So here's and I could even say, make it even shorter, give me 3 sentences, that kind of thing. And I can change the tone, whatever it is that I need Copilot to help me do. But let's take this a little bit further. And I'm going to actually go into some information. And I'm going to go to this category called nonverbal communication. So I have this information that I wrote, and this is actually quite a few years old. This is probably a good 10 years old. I'm going to select this paragraph. And on the left-hand side, as soon as you come into a blank document, the Copilot icon is going to be there. Or if you select existing information, the Copilot icon will be on the left-hand side. It's there to help you. If you click on it, it will ask you if you want to write a prompt or if you want to actually rewrite the information or summarize it visualize it in a table. I'm going to click Auto Rewrite. So I wanted to analyze this paragraph and see if there's some suggestions on a different way to actually say this. So it's analyzing it and it's coming back with some suggestions. It always gives you 3. So the first one, it says facial expressions are the most prevalent form of nonverbal communication. If I wanted to use that, I can click replace. Otherwise, I can scan through the other examples of what it came back with. If I want to replace it, or I can say insert it below so I can kind of look at what I originally had versus what this is giving me. Or I can go over to this adjust icon. If I go to adjust, I can change this to be more professional, more imaginative, concise. I'm going to say professional and regenerate it. So now it can regenerate based on saying that I want it to be a more professional response, just so you can see a professional rewrite of your text. So now you can see up at the top, it has 6 different examples. It's got the original ones and now it's got the professional ones. So if I see one that I like, all I have to do is click replace and it will automatically replace it, or like I said, I can insert it below. But if I don't want any of it, I can just simply close it and I don't have to replace it. Maybe I just wanted to see what it came up with. But what if I need to add something new? I'm going to just press enter and say that I want to add something brand new to go into this spot in this document. I can go to my Copilot icon conveniently located on the left-hand side. and it's coming up asking me if I want to describe what it is that I want to write. But something that's actually new, it just popped up saying include your own file. So it's letting you know that Copilot can generate content from your Word document and a PowerPoint file. So it can actually reference a file to actually write what it is you want it to write. So if I wanted to insert some information that is related to a different file, I could actually do that. I could show an example or I got it. I got it is just, okay, thanks. Thanks for letting me know that. But I'm going to describe to it what it is that I want to be adding in. New ways to communicate, can't spell that word, communicate with coworkers. And I'm going to say generate, and it's going to come back with whatever it is that I typed in to say, help me write this. But like I said, anything that it provides, if you insert it, still go back and look it over and kind of read it yourself to say, is this how I would say it? Put it into your own spin. You know, how would your organization put that in? So it's giving me this suggestion and it's quite long. If I wanted to keep it, I could say keep it. So it says one of the challenges of remote work is maintaining effective communication. And it's got a bulleted list of video conferencing, emojis, etc. If I want to keep it, I'm going to say keep it. But like I said, I am going to go back and make some adjustments to it. I need to really kind of put my own spin on it. So keep that in mind when you're using Copilot with anything, any of the tools that we have. But that's all I'm going to do today in Word. I use this every single day. I'm always writing handouts like you have right now. I'm using Copilot to help me with some of that. Helps me to summarize or things that I already have written. It's helping me to figure out how I could reword this or re-say it, especially based on the adjustments that I wanted to do with a different tone and different things. But I always go back and re-look at it and see how to put it in my own words, just so you know. But that's enough about Microsoft Word for today. We already talked about that. We already did this. So let me actually go into a PowerPoint presentation. Oops, sorry. I got to go to this PowerPoint presentation. So here's an existing PowerPoint presentation, and I want Copilot to be able to help me with this. I'm going to go to the Copilot icon, conveniently located on the Home tab of the ribbon here in PowerPoint. Once again, if it's grayed out, it's because the file is not in a cloud. But it's going to start to analyze all the slides. I have 161 slides. I should have used a shorter one with my computer running so slow today, but it's going to analyze all those. What I use this for a lot is I create the PowerPoint, but then I need to generate a summary. I want a summary to put in the description as to what the meeting is going to be about or what the training is going to be about or whatever. I have Copilot do that for me. Copilot can also add slides. So while I'm waiting for it to come in, I'll just describe some of the things you could do with it. I could be on an existing slide and tell Copilot that I want to add a new slide with information about whatever. It will automatically generate a new slide for you and put content in there based on the topic that you told it. And it usually includes an image to go along with it. If I have a slide that doesn't have an image, I can actually have Copilot give me an image for that as well. That's unbelievable. So when you look at this, I can chat, respond to a question, and help with your draft. So create a presentation from a file is one thing that it could do. So if I have a Word document with an outline, it could actually generate a brand new presentation based on a file. Or I can say, create a new presentation based on this topic and give me 10 slides. Copilot will start from scratch and do that for you. Then you can go back and make changes, of course. It can summarize. So that's the one I'm going to use first, is summarize this presentation. So it's automatically going to generate a summary based on the information on every one of the slides throughout the presentation. That was pretty quick, even though my computer is running a little slow. But what it gave me was maybe a little bit more than I need. maybe I need a more brief summary, I could go back and say that. But let's say that I need to add in a new slide. And I'm going to actually go to this slide, this project slide. And let's say that I don't actually have an image on this slide. I need an image added to this slide. So I'm going to tell Copilot, and I'm going to use my microphone, add an image to this slide that is related to projects in project management. I don't know if it will understand exactly what I said. Back again to those prompts that we need to have. So it says it doesn't recognize the wording as something I can do. I'm going to say add an image of, and then I'm going to say project. I'll just say project management. So it will add an image to that slide for me. You got to be good at prompts. Otherwise, it's going to come back and say, I'm not real sure what you meant. So it's going to suggest to you how you should start it. I like that. It gives me those suggestions on how you should actually start your prompt, but it automatically gave me an image that I could utilize. Now, of course, I could go back and say, change it so that it shows a purple blanket, or it doesn't have a blanket on the chair, on the back of the chair. Whatever it is that you want it to do, all you have to do is generate that back to them and say, hey, I like it, but change this. So it's all about how you prompt. But let's say that I need to add a new slide. Add a new slide that is going to describe communicating during a project. So based on the way that I prompted it, it's going to come back and it's going to show me what it could generate based on the information that I provided it. So once again, it's saying I don't recognize what I'm saying. So once again, I'm going to say add a slide about. And I'm going to say communicating during a long project. So I'll let Copilot help me with that because I didn't start it the way that Copilot wanted me to. So I'll just go back and use their suggestion and then add my details to it. So it's pulling things together, as you can see. I love that it tells you where it's at with things, so you know it's actually working. It's kind of like getting that window or that spinning thing. So anyway, it came back with effective communication in long projects. Once again, it added an image to that slide as well, which is awesome that it can do that. Of course, I'm going to double check these, make sure, see if there's anything else that I want to add to this, maybe change the image or rearrange things. Of course, I could use my designer to help me rearrange the actual content of the slide. But just giving you an idea as to how you can use this. But we can also use it to help us rewrite things. So just like we did in Microsoft Word, Copilot in PowerPoint can also be used to help you rewrite. So keep that in mind as well. But let's move on to our next step because we're going to be out of time here before we know it. So the next one that I want to talk about is Microsoft Teams. I think I kind of skipped over Teams in the handout. I think after Word, I should have done Teams, but just so you know, that's all in your handout. But Copilot is a huge part of using Microsoft Teams these days. First thing that I want to mention with Teams is I use Teams all day long, every day. Therefore, I customize the menu bar on the left. If you go to the menu bar on the left here in Teams, click on the ... you can add Copilot as an icon to the left. So I'm going to click Copilot. This will give you access to the Copilot app. So you don't have to go to the internet, log into your Microsoft account to get to it. This is how I use it all the time. So why not have it where you're going to conveniently need it? So it opens up the app just like you saw before. I'm going to right click on it, pin it so it stays here all the time. Otherwise, when Teams first came out with their Copilot, it was only available within chat is the easy way to access it. So if we go to chat, Copilot was located at the top of the window. So if I click Copilot from the chat window, it automatically will open the app as well. So that's two different ways that you can actually access it from there. But what if I actually want to chat with somebody? So if I go to a chat, So let me jump down to, so this is actually a group chat. When I'm actually in a group chat, if I started the chat and I need some help on rewriting it, where is everyone on the tasks this week? If I wrote that and I'm like, oh, wait, is there a better way I can say this? Notice your condensed menu at the bottom right. We now have a condensed menu instead of a million icons on the bottom. If I click on the Copilot icon, it can help me rewrite it or adjust the tone. So I'm going to click rewrite, and it can help me rewrite my chat. Especially when I'm chatting with executives, I use this a lot because otherwise I'm very casual on what I say. So what the heck was this? I wouldn't say that to an executive if I'm chatting with them. So just so you can see, it came back and it said, could everyone please share their progress of their week's tasks? I could click replace and it's going to replace it for me, and then I can click send. So I am really taking advantage of Copilot helping me in this respect as well. So Copilot is built in to your chat capabilities. But Copilot is available in a lot of different places in Microsoft Teams. As a matter of fact, Macy and I were talking earlier about having a different session just for specific applications with Copilot. Teams is one of these that you can truly take advantage of, because especially in a meeting, I'm not going to demonstrate it today, but just to give you an example, what about if you go to you attend a Teams meeting, but you're a couple minutes late? If Copilot is there, you have Copilot, you can actually ask it to catch you up on what you missed since the meeting started and you came in late. It can be used before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. After the meeting, it can actually summarize the contents of the meeting. Or I could ask Copilot to, like the other day, I asked it, who was the person that mentioned this? And I can tell it whatever this is. And it can go back through so it's using the actual captions because it's based on the recording and based on you having the captions, but it can automatically go back and read through that and find out who was it that had mentioned whatever it was. It can create a task list of activities that we mentioned during the meeting. It can just go above and beyond what I ever could have dreamed of for helping us in Microsoft Teams. But I like it even just here in chat. But in meetings, it's unbelievable. It has the chat icon right on your tools at the top. But it's also available in a lot of other places now. If I go to an actual team inside Teams, we can utilize Copilot here as well. If I go to a post, and let's say that I'm going to create a new post. So if I go in and I start doing a new post, I can actually utilize Copilot here as well. So even if I didn't start the chat or the post, I can click Copilot and it says Copilot can rewrite or adjust your message. So type a message to get started. So it lets you know you want to get started with it prior to having Copilot help you. So if I'm going to do a post to announcement of new employees, I can have Copilot help me with that. Now, of course, I had some spell check things that I needed to do with that, but I'm going to say I want to adjust this and I want to make it enthusiastic. I could have it replace it. So announcing new team members, that sounds a lot better than what I typed in. Plus it didn't have my typo, so it automatically gave me that. So I could go ahead and post that. So just so you can see how it can really be readily available whenever you need it. But I'm going to transition back over to Outlook here real quick. So in Outlook, we can be utilizing Copilot in a lot of different ways. I know I'm almost out of time and I have so many cool things that I want to talk about, but just so you can see here in Outlook, how do I actually use Copilot on a daily basis? Well, you know how you have conversations in Outlook? You type something, they type something, you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Well, one of the things that Copilot can do is summarize that string of conversations for you. I'm in the reading pane. So you want to have your reading pane turned on. I'm on an email that is based on a bunch of conversations. And I'm going to go to the top right and I'm going to click on summarize. It will analyze the string of that conversation and come back with a summary of what the email said. I use this all the time. This is something I'm constantly using. And it's even giving you the footnotes. So it tells you which message, and it can take you to that part of the message so that it will show you what it's referring to. But here's a summary on that message. That's a great way to be utilizing Copilot. So that's one that I use on a daily basis. I can just close it if I wanted to copy the information or whatever, I could do that. But otherwise, I'm just going to close it for right now. What if I'm creating a new email? If I'm creating a brand new email, Copilot, of course, is here to assist me with writing this message. When I'm in the typing area, in a new message or a reply, I have my Copilot icon. It's going to give you two things. It can draft with Copilot, it can draft the message, or it can give you coaching. I'm going to do coaching. So to get coaching for better, more well-crafted emails, type at least 100 characters. So first it wants you to type in, then it's going to coach you on how you should really be writing this. I will say that, oops, sorry. Oops, sorry. That was me clicking wrong places. Welcome to my new employee starting this week. And we want to thank the IT department for setting things up. Whatever it is that I type in, I can be utilizing Copilot to help me write that. Now I'm going to go ahead and say try draft because I didn't have enough characters in there. So it's going to say, welcome to my new employees starting this week, and we want to thank them. I'm going to say adjust this. I want it to be a little bit more casual. Maybe I want it to be a medium length, whatever the case is, and then I generate. On the right-hand side, click your generate, and it's going to take the information that can help generate the response if you wanted to use it. So it can help you write them. So it's even going to come back and say, is there anything you want me to change? Well, change this, and then I can regenerate. So I can type in anything that I wanted to change, regenerate it, or go back and readjust it. If I don't want to keep it, I discard it. But if I want to keep it, I click keep. I like the fact that it allows me to say, okay, I really like this, but change this. It allows it to just change little bits of the whole thing. So I love that it does that here in Outlook. So I utilize Outlook capabilities with Copilot directly from the Copilot app to say, catch me up on, what's been happening. What are some things that I missed over the past couple of days? What are my hot topics that I need to follow up on? It can utilize directly from the Copilot app the tools within your emails and your stuff going on in Outlook, or you can use it directly within Outlook. The summarizing of an email is something I use continuously all day long, because it's an easier way than me having to scan through that entire conversation that's this long. So I know we're out of time. I could spend all day with you talking about the benefits of using Copilot, but I better send it back to Macy. Macy, did we have any questions that came up from the group today?
We did. Somebody had asked, how do they get Copilot if they have a business basic and a business standard account? How do they go about getting it?
You could go directly to your favorite internet browser and you could just type in Copilot pricing and it will bring up what your options are. Or if you're an administrator, you can go directly into your admin to your current licenses and add Copilot from there. That's how I did it. Otherwise, depending on your how large your organization is, you can contact your Microsoft rep or work with IT companies, like, of course, the IT company, and they can help you with that licensing as well. Okay, good question.
It looks like that was the only question in there. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up? All right, Jolyn, I think we are good. If you want to go ahead. Oh, there's well, somebody just said thank you. I thought it was a
Okay.
question, but they said thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jolyn, if you want to go ahead and wrap up, I think we are good to go.
Okay, that sounds great. So we haven't 100% confirmed this. Is this correct? Macy, are we doing the Excel Beyond the Basics as our
It
next
is.
one?
Yep.
Great.
Yes, that one is next. And we
Okay.
did, Jolyn, we just had one question come in.
Okay.
Somebody said, is there a free trial?
Um, you know what? I don't know if I've looked for a free trial. That's a very good question. You know what? I would probably do an internet search on that because I don't know the answer to that. I've never looked it up. Um, a lot of things do have free trials, so there could be, but I'm sorry, I honestly don't know. I didn't look at that. I've never looked it up. Never been asked that. Sorry.
That's all right.
Um,
That's the only other question. Sorry, I didn't mean
okay.
to interrupt you.
So just so everybody knows, we have the Excel Beyond the Basics coming up. A lot of different things that go beyond, this is how you type and this is what a cell is that we'll be covering, a lot of formulas, different things like that, September 25th. And then we really just want to thank everybody for joining us today. So Macy, did you want to put anything on that for us today?
Just to reiterate what Jolyn said, thank you guys for joining us, and we will send out the recording as I mentioned earlier today. So check your email for that if you want to pass it along or share it with anybody. And then we will have we're doing these webinars bi-monthly. So the Excel Beyond the Basics is our next one, and then stay tuned for future ones that we have going on. Hopefully, we're diving a little bit more into some AI topics and different things along those lines. So just stay up to date with us on LinkedIn, and we typically send out emails for the dates for those once they come out as well. But thank you guys very much for joining,
Thanks.
and we hope that you all have a great day. Jolyn, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye-bye.